Hello and good evening. Hello and welcome to Beacon of Hope tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live on Beacon of Hope. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am waiting and I believe you're also waiting for me tonight. We are here tonight. Yes, I can see people have started logging in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Beacon of Hope, our Friday program. We love you. We love our viewers. We are ready for you tonight. And I know, guys, I know you're looking forward. I know you're excited just like I am. I am excited. I am waiting. Start inviting. Start sharing. Before I forget, I want us to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Beacon of Hope Beacon. And particularly for tonight, I tell you, you don't want to miss this. You don't want. Bring your children, bring your husbands, bring your family, bring your sisters, bring your brothers, bring everybody, because we'll be motivated, we'll be encouraged, you'll be inspired like I have. And to tell you that the lady I have tonight, to get her to come to us, I just feel so honored. I feel so privileged. She's a well sought after. It's not easy to get her. But you know what? Sister's keeper. She has agreed to come and be with us because she wants to be an encouragement to somebody. Are you going to be there? Do you want to be encouraged? As I talk, I tell you what, I am sharing. I am inviting people. Are you doing the same? Kindly share. Kindly invite people. Yes, we want as many of you to come and be encouraged, be motivated. And like I said, this lady is well sought after. And even actually to have her here tonight, personally, I am not taking this for granted. So continue sharing, continue inviting people, and let us be encouraged. Let us be motivated. I am doing the same as I talk to you tonight. As I talk to you, I am still doing the same. I am sharing. I'm glad to see my darling Bishop BK. He's among my best fans, my encouragement. He's there for me. Hi, Karian. Welcome. Mommy's doing good. I can see you are there. Yes. I'm not going to bring her until I've seen we've got a good crowd. I don't want this to go to waste. She is such an encouragement. I want people to continue sharing. Where are you, my fans of Beacon of Hope? Where are you, my friends and family? Where are you? I am waiting for you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, fans and friends of Beacon of Hope, we have our Friday program. And I always remind people, behind Beacon of Hope is Councillor Elizabeth Kangede, the founder, the CEO of Beacon of Hope. And I'm really, really, really proud to be hosting this woman tonight. She's a young lady. I must say young. Yes, she is. And she is really inspiring. She is. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I would like her to give her story because she has allowed herself to be used of the Lord, to be an encouragement, to be a motivator, to inspire other women as a mom, as a person who grew up with some challenges, and to be where she is in a foreign country. It's not easy, but you know what? She has made it by the grace of God. Come on, guys, continue sharing, invite people, invite friends, share. And without wasting time, you know what? Because we've got exactly 1 hour, I usually give myself 5 minutes to welcome you people, to make sure that you are here, you are logged in, either on Facebook or on YouTube, Beacon of Hope Beacon, please, and invite people. I'm doing the same. I am sharing. I am inviting people, friends, family, friends of Beacon of Hope. Where are you? I don't want any one of you to miss out. You did promise to be there. You did promise that you're not going to miss out. You promised. Yes, Dama Ben, good to see you, daughter. You're tuned. Invite everybody. I can see. Karian, yes, thank you so much. Dama Ben says, looking great, mom. I love you. Thank you. And I give God all the glory. Thank you so much for that encouragement. I am going to leave it to you, my dears, to invite family and friends because I do not want us to waste time. Now, just a bit of a brief of who to expect. My friend here, Sabrina, I don't want to say a lot, but you'd be shocked that this lady has overcome all challenges. She has to be among the top 50 most inspirational women in UK. Forget about the color. Most of us say, I'm black, my English is not my first language. She is sought after. Look out, even in BBC, to go and encourage women. I'm going to go through a bit of this. She's a mother of 5. Hey, and all these 5 kids, and I've met them, so proud of them. They are authors. The mother of the youngest author. I'm gonna be sweet to her so that we can feature them. We would like to encourage other children. She's got the Black Achievement Award, the best dyslexic owned business in 2021. Listen to that in UK. Sabrina is a proud mother of 5, a multiple award-winning author, a publisher, public speaker, consultant, presenter, and many more. And I'm saying this, and I've heard all this. I am not preaching water and drinking wine. I'm talking of somebody I've seen. She has also been recognized and listed as number 2 of the list of the top 50 most inspirational Black women in the UK in 2019. And you can see that if you want to check that and confirm. Some of us are Thomases. She features even in university. She lectures, she talks to people. And then she's among the list of the top 50 inspirational Black women. Sabrina helps families to dream big together. Yes, because she has done that. And write their stories as they build their family legacy, and have been challenged to do that by her children. Sabrina is a support panel member of the UN Limited, the Marcus Garvey Award, and so many others. Sabrina Salmi is a podcast host, life coach. I want her to come and say all this because some of you think, too much of you, counselor, whatever you call me. I'm going to bring in my guests, and please continue sharing. I know we usually take a bit of time. This is not a big number, but please, please, please share and invite people without wasting time, because that 1 hour is so brief. I bring in my guests. Hello.
Hi, Councillor. Thank you so much for having me.
Good evening and welcome to Beacon of Hope, where we inspire and give hope.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
You know what? It's always a pleasure whenever I see you and I hear you talk. It motivates me. I move one level up.
Likewise. It was a pleasure meeting you. I really love the way you embrace myself and my children. So thank you.
To God be all the glory. What I love about you is your humility. Because most women, once they are featured as the top 50, whatever, or maybe their children are doing so well, they will say, how big is your program? How many people? But for you, you can talk to anybody as long as you've got time. You want to encourage families to grow. You want to encourage women. And can we get to know, who is this Sabrina? Over to you, Sabrina. Introduce yourself to my viewers.
Absolutely. So my name is Sabrina Ben-Salmi. My background is in computer programming. That's where I majored. I am a mother of 5, a publisher, an author. I'm living the dream, to be honest. Everything else is a blessing. And my biggest dream was to become a mother. So I've been blessed with 5 children who I won't say I raised. I think they taught me. I think sometimes when we have children, we forget how much of a blessing that they come into our life and change.
Absolutely.
They transform our perception. They really transform my perception. They shifted my belief systems, and they turned my world upside down in a really good way. They really grew me and gave me such a massive why, something to live for. So yeah, anything to do with families, community, that's really where my heart and my passion is. And I'm determined to be the reason why someone else didn't give up, because someone did that for me.
Wow, guys, you've heard that. These children are the reason why you live, the reason why they live. They are so twined. And I was lucky enough to meet Sabrina's mom, another lovely lady. Sabrina, can we get to know just a bit of you? Where are you from? Where were you raised? And were you brought up here? Did you ever go to school? Can we get just a brief of you, who you are?
Yes, just briefly. So I was born and raised here in the UK. My mother is St. Lucian and my father's Nigerian. I was born in the 80s. Now, to be honest, during the time when I came into my mother and father's life, that their relationship wasn't blessed by the family. So it was quite a turbulent childhood. I had 2 near-death experiences during my childhood. So my mother was a mother at 20. She was pregnant at 19 and gave birth at 20. I was a very sick child. I spent a lot of my childhood in and out of hospital, and it was very much touch and go. And my mother told me about this, basically the story behind this scar that I have. Many people think it's thyroids, but it's actually a tracheostomy. So I don't know if you know Superman. I guess Superman's a famous person that many people know. Christopher Reeves, if that's the right name. So he had a tracheostomy. So it's something that is really life-saving operation because my trachea was closed. I had serious croup. So I developed serious brain injury. So basically they thought if I survived, that I would more than likely be brain dead. So that was the news that my mother was given at the age of 20, being a single mum. And she would have this contraption. It was a bit like the oxygen machine for like an astronaut in the old days, that she had to take out from underneath the buggy and basically put it down my throat to clear it out when I was choking on my own secretions. So I guess, you know, childhood was a very turbulent time. I looked very different to my peers. I had this big metal contraption coming out of my neck and I had to put my finger on it to speak, and I didn't sound very pleasant. So I went through a lot of bullying. So there was rejection within the family. There was, you know, just growing up and feeling different, going to school, being bullied. So I grew up feeling very much unwanted, but I never forget the prayer that I prayed to God. I asked God to take me, use me, make me whatever you want me to be, so that they can see that you can do anything when you want to do it. And I think it's really a testimony to God as to where we are today, because we had very humble beginnings. It wasn't a very good start.
Wow. Brilliant. Sabrina, with all those challenges, you still grew up, you still went to school despite the bullying, despite the kind of, it could have been low self-esteem after all these words, you still didn't give up. Now, let's know the Sabrina now in school, in university, if you ever did, the marriage, just a bit of that. I want to know before we go to where we are today now.
Absolutely. So school was turbulent. I remember going to a couple of schools. I remember having a lot of challenges at school. School was a bit different in those days. So I had a teacher that really stood out. His name's Howard. I have no idea what his surname was, but this gentleman came into my life and he really transformed my life. He saw that I was very much depleted as a person. I walked around feeling like the problem because I saw my mum working so many jobs, 3 jobs at some times, and I just felt like I was such a burden to everyone around me. And I remember him sitting me down. He was the first male positive role model I had. And he sat me down and he was like a tutor because I was having some issues at school. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember him taking me out to what was called Wimpy or Wendy's at the time. And we had like a knicker block of glory. So if anyone knows, it's this long ice cream, you got the spoon. And as a kid, right, you're just elated. And I remember him sitting me down, and it was for the first time that I had heard it other than from my mother's mouth. He said, "You're going to be something." He said that because of who you are, one day you'll be something. It meant so much to me. I didn't meet my father until I was 9 years old, and I felt very displaced. And when he said that to me, I believed him. You know, sometimes we underestimate the words and the impact it has on the child. And this gentleman actually taught me to play chess. And as a way to continue his legacy, I made it my position to actually teach each and every one of my children how to play chess, and they play it to this very day. And I always tell them the story about Howard. So I was struggling. I was very different to my peers in school. I had a lot of memory issues. I would read something and I would forget it. And that frustrated me, infuriated me, because I couldn't understand what was going on. You know, I just read it and I look at the page and it felt like I never recognized a single thing on that page. So I went through school pretty much like that. So it wasn't a case that I didn't understand anything. I learned in a different way to my peers. Whenever I was passionate, I used to just put in the hard work and it will come out. So when I left school, I actually came out with GCSEs in maths, English, I think science. So I had the three core subjects, I think B and C, if I remember correctly. But media studies, I did so well in because I was so invigorated by the subject topic. It was talking about connotation and denotation, and it was a way for the first time that I can translate the external world, and that really sat well with me. I went to college and studied business studies for a period of time. I remember speaking to a careers advisor about my dreams. I had all these dreams, and they said to me, get your head out of the clouds. You're a lady, become a secretary, become a cashier. And I was like, no, that's not my dream. You know, I want to be so much more. There's nothing wrong if that's what someone wants to do, but I have dreams. And fast forward, it wasn't until university, if I be entirely honest, that I was diagnosed with dyslexia. So I lived my entire life knowing that something was different, but I can never quite put my finger on it.
So there was that problem and it was never diagnosed. That shows it's very, very important for this early intervention for our children. Right. So look at you now. Such a late stage. That's when they found you are dyslexic. And you know, now it's kind of a bit late for any corrections, but you never gave up. You never gave up. It's a shame that some of our children go through a lot and there's no one to be there for them. Thank God for this teacher. I'm talking about this, having been a teacher for so many years, having taught in this country for so many years. And I believe I have been an encouragement to somebody. That shows the words of our mouth can break, they can make. You know? Because if it were not for this teacher, you'd have continued to believe you are nobody, you never amount to anything. You know, some of the words said by either our peers or by our parents, we as parents, by our friends, our colleagues, even as adults, if you're not careful, if we take them to heart and we carry them along, they could, you know, mess up with our future. Thank God that you never took that. Now, we would like to know, Sabrina, now that you've gone through all these and they have diagnosed you with dyslexia. Now, did you have to continue with school? Did you go to university then? Or let's hear how you've grown to be, because I want somebody to be encouraged to know before we even reach where you are today, because at the moment, for anybody to get you, even I just said it's by the grace of God that you are here today, particularly this month, you are booked, because you are an inspirational speaker, you are a motivational speaker, you are an author, you sell your books, you travel worldwide, you know, big conferences, and you are children too. Let's hear this Sabrina now, who has been pulled down by words of mouth, by parents, I mean, not parents, really, teachers, friends, colleagues, you know, feeling useless. And now here you are. Let's hear, how did you go into those stages? Because that's the bit that I want to tell people until you even got married, getting your kids, and then we'll go to that. Over to you. I want to do more of the talking.
No, talk to me. Yeah, so it's interesting. And when I look back, I could see a young lady that was very much unsure of who she was. I never ever doubted God's presence in my life. That for sure was always there. It was always a consistent. And I think that's really where I drew my strength from. I was always incredibly grateful, prayerful, very connected to the Creator. I know that when I entered my teenage, so I fell pregnant when I was 19, and I gave birth when I was 20. And we stayed in a relationship for a couple of years. But what was quite interesting was the pattern. I was looking at my mother being there, then me being there. My grandmother apparently was the same age that she gave birth to my mother, but she had children before my mum. Now, for me, I started to look at, how do I define my life? I think anyone who's listening to this realizes that the moment that you hold your child, be that a mother or a father, life changes. You know, in absolute silence, something moves in us that never change, goes back to the way it was before. And that happened when I held my first child, my eldest child. And I was incredibly scared, but at the same time, I felt incredibly blessed. But my fear was really built around, I really hope I don't let her down. I don't want to see her suffer the way I did. And I started to make a lot of conscious decisions around, what about generational wealth? What does that look like? I felt a struggle. I felt a weight that I had to carry when I was birthed into my family. And I didn't want my children to have that. So I was very certain that I didn't want to have just one child. I grew up as an only child. And I remember that most of my childhood, I would go to sleep in fear, just thinking if my mother's taken away from me, I won't have anyone. And that haunted me because, you know, we had family, and family is it's complex. You know, sometimes you can be in a room with many people or live with many people, but still feel alone because you're not really connected. You're not really there for each other. So I felt very vulnerable going through life. And I guess in essence, I was very much underdeveloped compared to my female peers. So I found myself in relationships that somewhat were very suppressive of who I was. I was a people pleaser because of what I went through. There was part of me that never liked I avoided conflict. I used to walk on eggshells. I remember going into university and obviously just being diagnosed with dyslexia. And I just knew that it wasn't an option. I just knew it wasn't a label for me. I know that many people get talk at, you know, you can't read, you can't write. Please, if you're listening to this, go and do some research around the different aspects of and profiles that dyslexia has. Many different profiles. So my one was around my memory. I had a speech impediment as well. I basically had to relearn everything at that age of diagnosis because for me, it was a shock. I knew something was wrong or something was different. And I wouldn't really say wrong. I knew something was different. But once I realized where I was, and I want you to think about a time in your life where when you knew where you was and you knew where you desired to be, it somewhat felt a bit easier. It's like having an app for Uber. You ask the Uber where to pick you up, and you know exactly where you're going. So I guess that moment for me, it was a lot of shock, but at the same time, it was clarity of this is where I am now. This is what I need to do. And this is where I desire to be. So I started to do a lot of internal work. I started to focus on who do I desire to be right now? Not what people wanted me to be, because I think up until the age of 31, I pretty much lived my life for everyone. And it's very much a condition of females. We become everything and everything to everyone, but who are we really to ourselves? And that haunted me for a long time, that I'm now 31. I had, I got married at the time. So 31, I had 4 children. They were all running around. And I remember being on the phone with a coach. And he said to me, what does your husband like? And I would go on. And what do your children like? I would go on. I was laughing, a good belly laugh. And he asked me that question that rendered me speechless. He said, Sabrina, tell me about you. Tell me about your likes and ambitions. Tell me about what makes Sabrina happy. And there was this long, uncomfortable pause. And sometimes silence is so uncomfortable. But at that moment of silence, it was so loud also. Because at that very moment, I realized that I had been living my life for everyone else. And if today was my last day, I couldn't continue like this anymore. And that was really a pivotal moment for me. So this was 2011. It was a very significant moment. It was the moment that I gave myself permission to publish my first book. It was a moment where in my marriage, I started to say yes when I wanted to say yes. And I started to say no when I wanted to say no, rather than being fearful about how others would feel. And, it didn't happen overnight. But what happened is that it became a journey of my becoming. And we are always becoming, right? But it was a deep rooted, very much Sabrina focused becoming. I started to invest in myself, go into events, learning from the best of the best in different industry, personal development, healing, public speaking. I remember going to public speaking training. I was sat by the door behind a pillar because everything about my demeanor was that I need to exit and I don't want to be seen. But I threw myself in the deep end. And, just like all of you will understand, when you get thrown into the deep end, you have 2 choices. Either you sink or you swim. and that was it. But it became easier. And the reason it became easier, because unfortunately for me, I didn't go into this with kind of a happy, excited demeanor. I was given a very dark prognosis. And to be frank, I wasn't sure if I was going to be alive for much longer. And I had to make sure that my children were going to be okay. And what I had to do was position my children, because I wanted to know that if anything happened to me, they will be safe. So I made it my mission. I asked God to just give me enough time to heal or to be strong enough so I can help my children.
There's one bit we miss, Sabrina. Now, we left where you became pregnant and here you are. We haven't heard of when you got married.
Oh, so when I got married. So at the time, I married someone who was the love of my life. If you would ask me anything, I would say, oh, they say, Sabrina, what's your name? I couldn't remember my name. I was in cloud nine. And I was totally knocked off my feet. You know, I couldn't have asked for more at the time. But unfortunately, it became a repeat of where I was before. That when I got into relationships, I often found that I would be covered up, locked away, you know, told to not talk. And I felt like I was a child again. I felt very much like a cage bird. And I was in love and I had children, I was married, and I thought to myself, you know, just be a good wife, be a good mother. But sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. And I'm all for working in a relationship. And I'm not a kind of, you know, sometimes people misunderstand it, like, you know, I would be confrontatious. No, it was very much that I knew that God wanted to use me. And there was such a loud voice inside of me that every time I went to bed, I knew I wasn't living my true self. You know, we had 3 beautiful children together. So we've got 5 children in total. And it was a roller coaster marriage. You know, I had a lot of struggles. He didn't want me to write books. He didn't want me to go out. And bless him, you know, I guess from his point of view, he did the best that he could. But maybe he didn't really realize from a male perspective how he was shutting me down. He started to really crush my spirit. I started to question, you know, do I really want this? Should I do it? At what cost? Is it worth it? But I remember when we got to the point and he just said, I don't want you to go out anymore. And I remember sitting down with all of my children and we were all huddled up together, a bit like Power Rangers when you put your hands in the middle. So we have this thing, we'll put our hands in the middle and say, Ben Salmi, and we'll have this beautiful roar. And I asked my children that it's going to be a bit difficult for me to do everything I can with all you being small and the way things are. But how would you feel about me teaching you everything I know? And I remember they were all like looking at me, and Shay was like, yes, mommy, I'll do it. She was only young. And I just looked at them and I realized that God was taking me on a different journey, one that I didn't realize. And I made a commitment to them. I said I would teach them everything I know so I can become the foundation from which they can leap from. And that was really a new evolution of us coming to ourselves as a family. My husband felt very threatened by me doing what I was doing. He just wanted me to be normal, to get a normal job and to be normal. And, you know, I had lived my entire life being normal. And often the whole world tells us to be normal and to be like everything else. But I said, you know, why should we try to
What's normal? What's normal?
What is normal? Exactly.
Carry on. I don't want to.
No, it's fine. So, you know, exactly what you said. So I was thinking, why do we try to fit in when we were born to stand out? And remember, our standing out, I think sometimes people misunderstand our standing out as being better. No, think of our standing out as being a unique puzzle piece in a big puzzle. So we have no duplicate pieces, right? Every time we buy a puzzle, there's never a duplicate piece. When you lose that piece, it's like, oh, where's that piece gone? Like, I can't complete it. And that's what I actually mean by standing out, because I think that we interconnect. But if we don't show up as our true essence, we prevent that other person from connecting with us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's really spiritual in the sense that God's already done all the hard work. He's given us our unique blueprint. He's given us our message. And sometimes we run around the world and we try and do things. That was my story prior to me listening, that I'm going to do this and I'll go back and forth and I'm going to do that. And I remember that when God said to me, homeschool the kids, turn left, turn right. And when we start listening to when our steps are ordered and we surrender to the process, that's when actually things really start to happen and you start living miracles on a daily basis.
So, your 5 kids live with you.
Yeah.
How old is the oldest and how young is the youngest?
Oh, so that they were funny. So Lachey is the eldest. She's 21. Trey Sean is 17. Yasmin is 14. Paolo is 12 and Amir is 8.
And this is a bit I want you to tell these viewers here tonight, because that really, really moved me. You still haven't told your story. You're still going there round in circles. There's a lot that you've achieved as a they would say a woman with disabilities as they brand them. And, I'm glad that we connected because I'm currently a cabinet member in charge of people with disabilities. And I think that's how we really connected, because I wanted to find out more. For you to get, first of all, now your children are homeschooled.
Yes, since 2019.
Reasons that you're going to say, you're going to explain to people why and how you find it, and how did they become authors, because you're going to mention this. I want my viewers to know how this, I find these are mysteries, because one could become, but for the 5 of them, and it's not one book, it's not 2 books, it's not 3 books, each one of them. And guys, I'm not talking of the small kind of, I've seen those books, including the 8-year-old. I'm not talking of 10 pages. I love that young boy. With me, he's my best friend. Can you take us through that journey, because you are homeschooling and it's a challenge.
Yes.
And there we go. Go ahead, take it on.
Absolutely. It's really moving talking about this, actually, because, in our day-to-day life, we don't always talk about where we come from. Yep. So, to be honest, since the age of 8, for my daughter, she actually had to be homeschooled for about a year.
Why?
And it was because of bullying. So unfortunately, the reason that my children were all homeschooled wasn't just, oh, wow, let's homeschool, let's travel the world. Absolutely not. It was years and years of painstaking bullying that was taking place in our school system. Parents, really listen to your children, get to know their teachers, be present, let them know that you talk to your children. My daughter, unfortunately, was bullied by teachers and pupils. We've had cake sent back. When my daughter first published her book, it was sent back in the same envelope it was given. There are there's different stages of bullying, right? So we have the verbal, we have the physical, we have, soft aggression. So we have to just be mindful about
the emotional ones.
Exactly. So when our children are in these institutes, if you find a good school, brilliant. I'm glad to say that my oldest son has gone back into school. He's at a phenomenal school, one of the top schools in the UK and the world, the way it's ranked. So getting back to the story. So to be honest, we went through hell as a family. And I always wanted to homeschool my children because I was just tired. I was really tired of fighting the battles that was presented to me at school, the bullying. Now, what we term bullying, I don't think that's the right word, because children were going into school systematically being attacked by the same person over and over again. And these were horrific attacks. And this went throughout my school journey as a mother, but for my children, more importantly, and every child, like I said, Lachey went through it. Trey was bullied for being smart. He used sports as a way of building those gaps and those bridges and forming relationships. Yasmin actually was attacked. The worst one was when she was attacked by 4 boys, 2 holding one arm each, while 2 was punching her in her stomach, and a teacher was the one who intervened. Paolo came home with bite marks on his back, was bullied, racial, for his size, for his parents. Kids are quite interesting, very interesting, but, it's the community. I think we have to see that children and our society and our community is a reflection of what's going at home. And I think it really just taps on the essence that So many families are not supported. So many children are not supported. So we went through hell. We went through hell and back. And it was at 2019, I just knew enough was enough. I was just tired. That we broke for school holidays in July. And at that time, I made a decision. I had a conversation with my creator, and I just said, give me strength. Nothing was planned. Like, I had nothing planned. We've had a tutor that we've always had, Rassal, who was recommended to us by Misha Watson. Absolutely amazing. So we had one tutor. But I've always homeschooled my family. And I think it's really important that we understand that distinction. As parents, I think sending our children to school and leaving it as that, that's suicide. We have to input, because some of the things that our children are exposed to or not exposed to, we have to be mindful. If it's not coming from us, seek it within our network. So I've always been present to nurture and support. My children have always had mentors at a very young age, because I was very determined not to give my children everything I didn't have, but to teach them everything I didn't know as young as possible. So we went through this journey in July, and I made the decision not to send them back. And I was going to tell the school in September, you know, there's a formal way to deregister your children. I actually wrote a book on it. It's called #homeschooling. And it just talks about our transition from state school to homeschool. It's not for everyone. You know, I'm not one to sit here and say, you know, follow. It's an option. I'm sharing our life journey with you. If it fits you, it fits. But one of the most moving things happened. I deregistered my children the first day they were meant to go back. I surrendered to God. I just said, you know, I'm tired. All I need to do is sleep. So we had late starts for 2 weeks. I said to the kids, right now, Mummy doesn't have a plan. Trust me, I'm in communion with God. We're going to make it through here, because I cannot drive myself through the ground. Obviously, you know that I mentioned about my health complications.
Yes.
I was concerned about all the stress. I was so grateful for being alive with my children, but I didn't want to take life for granted. I knew it was taking its toll on me. And their dad thought I was crazy. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking them? And then he sort of like, well, yes, you know, because I was up and down the school. And I said, you know, now I just need you to trust me. I don't even know what I need you to trust me with, but I'm speaking to God, and I just need you to trust me. And I remember, like, the kids were just excited, like Paolo and Yasmin and Amir in particular was excited. Trey Sean was 100% not on board. He was like, register myself back at school. If this doesn't work in 2 weeks, I'm going back to school. I miss my friends. You know, he's a teenager. And I said, son, give me 2 weeks. Mum's going to do what I feel I've given instructions to do. And after 2 weeks, if you don't feel that things are moving in the right direction, you'll go back to school. And he was like, you know, a teenager. He was like, yes, I want my friends. And during that period, we rested. And sometimes they say, you see, sometimes in life, we want to go quick. We want to get things. We want to keep going. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the most sacred moment is when we choose to stop, rest, regroup, and reconnect. And that was the most powerful 2 weeks I had. I took it. I was in communion with God, and we just rested. And I remember one day I got up quite early, because we go to Chelsea, so we work with Chelsea Football Club, and then we can
sorry.
And
I am Arsenal, so extreme.
We are Arsenal fans, interestingly enough, but Trey Sean's done a workshop at Chelsea. I'll get to that. So we're Arsenal fans. His dream was to do it.
I don't want to sorry, my sincere apologies.
Yes, exactly. So we work. We were doing I can't remember what it was exactly at the time. So I had presented to their enterprise. It's called, oh God, Edge of the Box. Oh, how can I forget? Sorry. Carl would kill me. So Edge of the Box, that's founded by Carl Southwell, absolutely phenomenal gentleman. So he said, you know, the kids can come up here, they can get involved in STEM, they can, you know, showcase their books. And I remembered I got up, and remember I promised them 2 weeks to rest. I got up early one morning, and you know those mornings when you wake up and you know that there's something going to happen today, but you don't know what. I got out of bed, went to my children's room, and I said, guys, do you want to go to Chelsea today? I was like, Mom, I was tired. Like, if you had said before, you know, the kids. And I was like, it's okay. And I said, you know, let's just work it, you know, because I need them on board. They were big kids. So I can't drag them, right? And I remember I went back to bed. And you know those moments when you turn, and I just went, we need to go today. And I literally went back to their room and I said, I don't know what it is, but you know when Mummy gets these visions, these impulses, it always works out well. And I'm having one now. And they're gorgeous children. They have their ups and downs. Motherhood is not easy. But they got up and they said, Mum, I'll go. And they've always been like that. And that's where we were able to create what we created. And I guess the message I'm trying to say, that families that dream together really get there in a powerful way. Teamwork really makes that dream work. So they got up, you know, like troopers. We all got up, their backpacks, put their books in. We go in there with roller banners. And little did we know that on that day when we went, there was representatives from Brunel University.
Wow.
And the reason why this will make sense is that if anyone knows my family right now, Brunel University and my family are actually transforming lives. So little did we know, we went along to this event, and my son Paolo, who would have been then 10, now 12, he's got a dream of becoming an engineer. So we were like, okay, you'll have a conversation with them when they come off stage, you know, find out what it takes to be an engineer. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. He's got a couple of mentors, but I went in to hear it from the university. And I remember this young man, him and Yasmin went off, and I was in the crowd networking. I looked at my phone and I had a message from Dave Shanks. Now, I'm telling you these names because you'll be able to do research on the family. Yeah. Dave Shanks is the founder of a water filtration company called Water to Go. And he said, oh, the people from Brunel, where I created this, the water filtration, they had some support from Brunel to do some aspect of the engineering around that. They said that they've met Paolo. And I'm like, no, like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm saying no. So Paolo's an ambassador. And if anyone meets Paolo's a very outspoken young boy. Often say to him, you know, tone it down, don't say anything, please help Mummy. Because he will go out and ask what he wants. So he is basically in conversation with Brunel, and the lady who spoke to Paolo knew Dave and said, oh, wow, I've met a representative from your company. Amazing. So I'm now texting Dave and saying, yeah, we do know them. Paolo spoke to them. I haven't spoken to them. I've got a business card. I'm going to get in touch. Fast forward. We were connected to 3 different people. Let me tell you, when God tells you to move, move. Don't question. If it's to jump, how high? Do not question anything other than that. Had I not taken action that I was spiritually led to do, things wouldn't be happening for our family the way it is today. So we got connected to 3 different people, and the 3rd person is Leslie Warren. Ooh, yeah. Leslie Warren phoned me. We were in the middle of Kew Gardens, so we have to behave well at Kew Gardens on a family day out, homeschooling with homeschool family. Managed to drag my husband along. I was anything but behaving proper. You would have seen me in Kew Gardens, down on the floor, screaming my head up, going, yes! Because Leslie Warren and I spoke, and she said that she's going to fund my children's education through their STEM program.
Amen.
Now, when you're homeschooling, you will know how expensive it is. Now, my kids could have taken IGCSEs from home, but they could not take full GCSEs from home because they would need to do practical assessments for science in particular. So I was like, brilliant, I'll be able to use the Bunsen burner. Now, when you have a relationship with God, you understand that what you conceptualize is so insignificant compared to what God has for you. So she was like, Bunsen burner. We're going to put them through whatever they need, basically. It's a university. So quite quickly, we developed a relationship. I found that I was on a engineering masterclass. Now, remember, Paolo wants to become an engineer. A certified engineering masterclass. Paolo was funded. Trey Sean was funded. Amir was funded. Lachey and Yasmin. And I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, what's going on? We were invited to meet the Queen's cousin, Lady Kitty. We met the VP of Brunel. And I didn't know what was going on. And we started speaking about this homeschooling journey. And we started speaking because our family, not only were we the first to be funded by the Brunel University in history, because usually children are selected, the smartest children from school, they need to go through school. So because of our fairy godmother, Leslie Warren, it turns out that we were able to be the first ever in history homeschooled family at Brunel. Wait for it. The exhilaration wasn't just for us. That was 2019. They got their certificates for their engineering masterclass. Amir was 6 at the time, and they made him the first ever in history, youngest ever honorary STEM ambassador. He was an official ambassador for Brunel University and still is to this very day. But the biggest announcement I want to really get to around this is fast forward to 2020. Because of our family doing what we did with Brunel, they funded 20 spaces for homeschool families for the first time ever in history. And I was so compelled by that, I published a book about it on the 2nd of March, which was my birthday. And I finished the book in February. It was published in February, but God said to me, do it on your birthday, and I will reveal to you eventually what it will be. Now, the reason why it's so significant, you understand the dates. The 2nd of March, 2020, our lives were just the same as every other day. And I think roughly the 20th or the 22nd, the entire world started to shut down. And I was just like, what on earth is going on? What on earth is going on? And anyone who understands publishing, they understand that when you publish a book, it doesn't just get published. There are legal deposits that are made at the British Library here in the UK that go down forever and ever in history. Why was it so significant for me to actually launch my book on the 2nd of March? And that moved me to the point that God answered my prayer. I asked to become a mother. That prayer was answered. I asked to make my life, make something not just for me, but for others. I was, diagnosed with things. I had various disabilities. I was the outcast of a family. Everything you can think of, you name it, I went through it. But at the time, it wasn't welcome. There was lots of tears, lots of pain. But I would say to you now, when I look back, as the saying goes, we can't connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect them looking back.
Amen.
When I look back at God speaking so loudly through our lives that your beginning doesn't mean anything, but you can determine the outcome. And when I look at where we come from, my mum was a single parent from Tower Hamlets. We were on low income. I remember buying Happy Shopper products and using milk stamps, and we went through it all. And God used us to open doors. And as a family, we've consistently made history. And I'm not saying it to say how amazing we are, watch us. I'm telling you to realize that God can use you. And more importantly, God already has. Because sometimes when we're praying for the next thing, but we don't realize what's already been done. And when I look, and that's why I say right now that I'm living my dream. My prayers have already been answered. My deepest prayers have been answered. I'm just enjoying life, and there's more to come.
Amen.
So that journey was really significant for me, because had I not taken them out of school, none of that would have happened. How would I have known that the entire world was going to shut down? Never know. All these parents, their kids were thrown into homeschooling, and it's the hardest thing. You see, it was hard enough for me to do it, but I knew I had to. But when you don't have a choice, remember the entire world, you can resonate with the fact that you never had a choice Monday morning when you wanted to go to work. You were sent home to work from home, depending on what nature of work you do, and you had children in the background. You had no choice. So why is it that God wanted to put me at the forefront of that? And as a family, we started to say, thank you for our blessings, because I was called weird before. I was saying, why am I doing this with my kids? Why are they publishing books? The reason I got my kids to publish books wasn't so they can become a published author. For us as our family, our book is the business card. It's just the beginning. I wanted my children to exercise a muscle so that they can own and practice who they were for as long as possible, so they didn't have to wait for the world to tell them that it was okay to be them, because I went through that pain. So my children each published books. Trey Sean's got maybe 14 Lachey 8. I think Paolo's got 6. Yasmin, maybe Paolo's got 6, maybe Yasmin's got 8, and Amir's got 6. They'll tell me off about the numbers. But I'm telling you the numbers is because I'm a dyslexic publisher. I'm a dyslexic author. None of that held me back. Even more so, I decided to park what the label was, and I went after passion, leading with my why. And I think it's so important to understand that. Each of my children started to activate. Sean is in the realm of wealth creation. He's going into that world. Lachey's into culture connectivity. She speaks Korean. We've been out to Korea. She's been awarded an award from the First Lady of Korea. She works with the government. And I'm just like, what's going on? For someone who was outcasted, pushed out to the side, there's an abundance of blessings flowing. Yasmin has spoken at prestigious events, and I think as of last month, because of ICA Global Institute, she has actually been shared onto the Royal House of the private equity of Dubai, I think it was. So there's so many things that you can look into, but I'm not looking at the achievement of us as a family. I'm identifying the blessings. The testimony goes to God, because most of what we created, I had no understand or comprehension of how to. So it has to only be God.
Wow, wow, wow. Do you know, I could listen and listen, and it's not the first time, and I can never, ever get enough of this. Now, quickly, I would like, because I know we only have a few more minutes. Do you know how many books between all of you, you and your 5 kids?
Roughly, maybe 20, between 20 to 30, roughly.
What inspired you as an individual to be an author, and how did your children start writing books? And can you tell us something about some of your books and what inspired you, or who is your inspiration? How did you become an author? Because I told you, and I'm not embarrassed to say this, I've taken a few years to write my own biography. And I thought, okay, as mayor, I'm going to include that. As councillor, in my marriage, I'm going to do this. Now I'm cabinet member. I have no idea what I'm waiting for. And I've written about maybe 60,000 words, and it's still, they're not published.
Wow. Well, remember, Yasmin was saying that she wants to support you with that. So
viewers have been challenged by an 8-year-old that they've got to help me. 8-year-old, 12-year-old children of Sabrina, they want to help me publish my books. So let's go on. What inspired you?
I've had my team. They've rescheduled what I had to do, so I can stay a little bit longer. So okay, just to finish off, so I can explain. So just because I mentioned 3 of them, I just want to mention the other 2. So Paolo planted 10,000 trees out in Tanzania. Because he's very much an activist. Trees and Paolo has a very spiritual connection.
Why Tanzania?
So the company he went with they plant trees in Haiti and Tanzania. So
I want them to go to Kenya now.
Yeah,
I'm adopting some Ben Salmi family, and I'm gonna take them to Kenya to do some of the things they are doing. So
So there's so many things that we're doing behind the scenes. We actually want to go to many more countries. So we've started planting a family forest in Tanzania. So we've got the Ben Salmi forest, and we've also got Paolo's planted a forest in Haiti, and it's called the Tree Troops Forest. So Paolo has, when he comes on, he'll share with you, but he has a book series called the Tree Troops. So he's basically talking about the science behind trees and how they communicate. But he's given these trees personalities like humans. And one of his books are dedicated to the forest that he's planted out in Haiti called the Tree Troops Forest. Obviously, I've spoken about Amir, so I've spoken about all 5. That's really important. So back to your question, why publishing? You see, sometimes when we're told one thing, that pushes us down. It pushes us into a dark hole. But when things happen through us, it's not for us to go through life. It's for us to grow through life. And there's a very different distinction there. So what happened is that, remember, my entire life, I'm being told I'm not good enough, I'm dunce, I'm this. So what do I need to do? I need to teach myself what I'm capable of. So I went to the training I went to in 2011. Ewan Wong was my mentor at the time, and he had this opportunity for me to go away for 2 weeks to learn various things that I needed to learn. And I came out and I made a commitment. I just jumped up. You know those moments when you speak before you thought, but it just came from your mouth. So I'm going to publish a book. I'm going to publish a book that's going to contain the power of what I've learned here so I can help other mums. And that was the first book that I published. And in our family, we have a motto: get it done, then get it right. The reason why most of us procrastinate for so long is the perfectionist in us, right? All right. So when you have a young woman who has been told that nothing is good about her, I have nothing to lose, right? So I had a lot of fear of public speaking, fear of being judged, you know, just all of that. But for me, it was that my bond is more powerful than what people think of me. I had committed publicly at the end of this training to share what I had. Remember, when God blesses us, it's a responsibility of us to share. And I've always been very adamant throughout our life. Bruno University, our blessing, open doors for others. Virgin, we work with Virgin, open doors for others. Chelsea, everything we do as a family, we do it to open the door. We will be the entrance, but we'll open the door. So it was very evident for me that book writing is a very powerful medium to share. People will throw away a business card, but a book will go on someone's bookshelf for years to come. And often authors are not recognized while they're in their lifetime, but they will go on to leave a legacy. But that for me caused me to think, why do we keep encouraging each other to leave a legacy, but we're not building a legacy together? I'm very much for giving to others, but I lived my entire life giving to everyone and I didn't know who I was. So I made a promise to myself that I was going to insert or reinsert myself back into my life. And I started to say, I want to build a legacy with my children that I can leave, because I deserve to have something as well. I deserve to enjoy some of the blessings. So really the book writing came from Lachey saying to me, Mum, all you old people kind of making it overcomplicated, and you know you're all harboring together, and you come for meetings to do things that were simple. And I was thinking, oh my gosh. I was saying, okay, tell Mummy. And she gave me this beautiful perspective. Every child who goes to school, they write stories. Every child creates pictures. They draw pictures, right? And the only thing that was different that I did with my family is publish them. Because right now, inside your home, you have a child that's been telling you stories. They have their own favorite story and they will tell it over and over again. And the genius in children, they have this way of changing it around and it feels like it's real, and it is real for them. But us adults, we suppress our inner child at times.
We do. Come on, James. Son James, you can hear that, Leon, and they're always telling you stories and you think, oh,
exactly.
Dama Ben, see all these girls telling you stories.
Thank you.
You sat.
Thank you. And that was it for me, is that often when a child arrives in a family, we think we have to teach that child. But what if it's a moment to learn? Don't get me wrong, there's a thin line between children just running around and doing what they want to do. I like the good old way, respect, and those fine lines are important. But what I mean by learn is let them share their sacredness with you. If I didn't allow my children to share their sacredness and just be seen and not heard, I would not have experienced half the things I've experienced. I've been to Bali because of my children. I've been to Korea because of my children. I've gone to my dream locations and experiences because of my children, what they shared with me. Now, she was saying, oh, I can write a book and I can do this. I wrote my book and Lachey finished a book really quickly. Halfway through writing a book, Cheshun comes along. She was 11, he was 7. And he was at top sets in school. He was really good. He said, Mum, I'm not happy. I can read, I can write. Why can't I write a book with Lachey? So the first book they published together was called Kids That Dream Big. And they basically shared their journey, shared what they learned from personal development. While my children were in school, they did about 2 years of work experience in a branding company. See, parents, sometimes we go from nursery to primary school to secondary school to university, and then we look for a job. Why are we auctioning our children out to the highest bidder? And I remember my child, Lachey, at 14, she stomped her foot and she said, Mum, I've had enough. Why am I at school? Why is everyone doing all this systemization with children as if We go through school with batches. If anyone's ever heard of Sir Ken Livingstone, I hope I said his surname right, he talks about that. We put kids through school in batches, and it's as if their date of birth is their batch number, but we fail to understand their individual sacred gifts. And that is the difference that made the difference for us as a family. I started to realize that all of my children can publish books. All of my kids can be public speakers. The genius is they don't all talk about the same thing. I really want you to understand that. If your child wants to be a doctor, get them to interview doctors around the world. Get them to connect with, if they want to be engineers around the world. Of late, we've got this gentleman called Chide Ibe, who's created those Black illustrations for the first time in history. If you've all heard about him on the news, what did we do? One of my children, Yasmin, who's 14, her dream is to become a doctor. She has, in fact, published a book, co-authored a book with Chide Ibe, and it's connecting them up to create opportunities. All of my children are different. Some are shy, some are outspoken, some are all over the place. We've got the Brady Bunch here. But the beauty is the way your children are is their sacred gift. So each one of them learned a systemization. Everything I learned in my professional aspect, I poured into my children. I taught them a blueprint. Have a book, have products and services, create workshops. There's things that you can do. Trayshawn was 11 when he ran his first workshop at Arsenal Football Club. It was called Bridging the Gap Between Fathers and Sons. Men came in with their sons.
Wow.
Boys who didn't have fathers came with their mothers, and some came on their own. We had volunteers there, and this was a young boy who put this on. And the processes that we went through, people left there crying, but they left there healed. I couldn't do that. I don't know what it is to be a boy child. My son's stepdad was there, my husband. And the whole idea and the reason he put that on is that he wanted to build a deeper relationship with his stepfather, but he didn't want to point fingers. He wanted to learn in the room with other men and just share. And that was a labor of love to his stepfather. So I was just in awe that God will speak through our children if we let them, get them mentors and support them. So basically, they all started to activate. Lachey, Trayshawn first, then Yasmin, Paula, and Amir, interestingly enough, in the year of 2018, they were seeing their siblings do all this stuff. They were a bit shy. They'll get on stage. Amir was funny. Amir must have been 3.5. And he would always go on stage saying, "My name's Amir, I'm 3 years old." And he looked at me, gave me a really bad look. And when I got home, I was thinking, why is this child behaving like? He said to me, "Mum, why do you keep asking me to introduce my name?" Any parents of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, you know exactly what I mean. He gave me this pep talk. He said, "I want a brand like my siblings." And I said, "Do you know what a brand is?" He said, "Yes, Mum. It's when people know who I am when they hear that name. It's the promises that we make and keep." And I'm looking and I'm thinking, he's only 3.5, but he's been listening. You see, when we understand how we learn as human beings, we understand the brain. Between the ages of 0 and 7, it's the most important times for a child's development. So they listen, okay? And it's about exposing your children to unique opportunities, and they will listen and start to percolate afterwards. So what happened is that Yasmin, Paolo, and Amir got a template, and basically they were like, "I want to write a book like my sibling." They were just going to write picture book, very basic. So Philip Chan, unfortunately, he's passed away now. He knew a publishing company that were actually giving away free publishing opportunities for children under 18. So it was like, brilliant. All 5 of you are going to publish books, as it will be expensive to do on my own. And they all went through this challenge. The older ones, they knew how to do it. They went forward, they did that. And the younger ones, they wrote part, they went off, collected some affirmations in Amir's case, got his favorite affirmation and pictures. And it was interesting. It was the Christmas of 2018, if I remember correctly. We got their book covers done. So kids are quite visual. You can't put pressure on kids. So I said, okay, brilliant. When you get your book covers, let's see who can create the book first. So their book covers were coming through. And when they saw their book cover, they came alive. They were like, "This is my book, Mum. Wow. It looks the way I drew the picture." They saw that the picture they sketched became real. and they learned something that was very spiritual. They realized that thoughts become things. They realized that they can take things that were from the spirit side into physicality. And it was that moment they became unstoppable. Amir ended up on Sky News in the January, the beginning of the year, with his book. It was called Because I'm Intelligent, 365 Affirmations to Brighten Up Your Day.
I saw it.
It was just electric. And from there, they would just been excited. They think, Mama, I can just be myself, because they were going through bullying at school. But it was counteracting that. You're being told that you're silly, you're this at school, and going out and sharing a couple of words and you can inspire someone. And they just fell in love. And we just made a promise to choose each other as a family every day, to support each other. And we just grew from there. And then we've had our own ups and downs. You know, you've got children, it's going to be fun.
Wow. Now, I know I've got so many young parents here listening. You had me shout out to a few. And I know I can see so many parents both on YouTube and on Facebook. And I know others who will listen to this afterwards, because, you know, our schedules here in UK and other places are so tight. You know, some people have written they will listen to this, and that's why we save. And this is more like a book, because we are not doing it for ourselves. We want to inspire somebody. What is your message to these young parents, especially them bringing up young kids in school? Like, already you've said something, not to ignore the little signals that we get from our kids, the messages they bring. You know, what you do tell this before we go to the women? What you do tell these parents, because you've gone through it, you've done it. Some have been bullied, some, you know, all these little messages that parents need to know as they bring up their children. So what message do you have for them?
I think first and foremost is make sure you've got support systems. So a lot of what we went through was on our own. Like, I mean, like, we don't have family. My mum, we have my mum, but we didn't have a big support system. I think for any parent, a new parent, young parents, support system is so important. It really is important that you well network. So because I knew I didn't have anyone, I went and foraged for connections. I connected up with the right people for the support that I needed. And I guess secondly to that is be honest with yourself. Where are you? What is the support that you need? Write it down. Get absolute clarity around what it is that you need. One of the things that really slow us down is that we're kind of over here, shiny object, shiny object. What do you want? Once you achieve that, then the next thing. So what is it where are you right now? What do you desire? Get from point A to point B before you start discussing A to Z. And I think it's really important that you take things in incremental stages. Also, bad behavior in children is a cry for help. When you start seeing different behaviors in your children.
Can you say that again? Bad behavior?
Yeah, so-called bad behavior in children is definitely a cry for help. What we don't understand, when, you know, the world will have us think a bad behaved child is a bad child. It's a cry for help. And I think we have to understand that. See, I grew up very frustrated. I was a child that was seen but not heard. And that's not at home with my mum, just when I went out into external ways. That's the kind of time I grew up in. So when our children are actually exuding characteristics, there's a root cause. The behavior is simply a symptom of a deeper root cause. So sometimes we just need to be honest with ourselves. One of the things about adults is that we have the ability to reach out to who we desire to reach out to and have those discussions. A lot of children are harboring suppressed emotions and they have no one to talk to for a number of reasons. You know, like, for example, you know, depending on the culture, what happens at home stays at home, and that's fine. But it's giving them support systems so they feel supported. Give them permission to talk to you. And I dislike when people say, oh, parents, you need to stop being busy. I don't think it's that parents need to stop. I think my message is to the community. I really love the African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. Any parent is as strong as their support system. And the reason I'm saying this, because my mother had the hard time of all the pressure of these judgment. And that's what really built up my emotion. I was fed up with people telling my mum that she had to be, do, and have, and I knew she was doing more than she could at the time. So I think when we see issues within our family, or if we're looking at an issue in a family, instead of judging, see how you can support. I think it's so important that we understand, as elders in the community, we have a sense of responsibility to support. It's not help. And I really want to understand the distinction I'm making. Often it's like, oh, I don't have time to mentor this. It's not a help. It's your responsibility as elders in a community, especially if we're coming from African backgrounds. We understand we have a duty of care, because remember, if all the wisdom dies with you, it goes nowhere. Yes, you might be a parent, but if you parent within the community, if you're a father, take under your wing other young men and women. See, often this is missed. We feel that young men, young boys need male role models, and we forget the women also need it, because in the absence of a father figure, and dad might be there, he might need help, but in the absence of a father figure, that woman who has been blessed to be the carrier of life from the spiritual realm to the physical realm needs the support of a male energy, that masculinity, that support system. So me as a female, I'm a mother to my children, but I go out and mother others, because I think the title doesn't just stop with my children. If I look after my children alone and I dream of this utopia, how can there be utopia if only my children exist there? We have to create a vast landscape that goes beyond what the eyes can see, pour into as many people as possible. And to answer the question, again, for young parents, don't be scared, don't be afraid to ask. One of the things I was never scared of is that I'm not afraid of no. I wasn't ashamed of what people might be. What I was ashamed of is being in the same situation today, going forward the next 5 years. That really made me frustrated. And I think sometimes when we understand our why, it makes the how easier. If someone says no, move on to the next. This is what you desire for you and your children, and you have to get clarity. See, how can you ask if you don't know what it is? And we need to find out, who is our child? What do they need? Okay, they need a mentor. I can't afford a mentor. Find the mentor that you would have hired if you could afford them, and find a way to make it happen. Find out if you know someone who knows someone. Find out if you can exchange. Never underestimate the skill set that you've got now and how that can pour into someone's life. So with me, I used to barter. If I couldn't afford it, I'm willing to work. If I could afford it, I'll do a payment plan. I was willing to do everything because I knew my vision. And I would stop at nothing to get to where I wanted to. My kids have had mentors from all different backgrounds. They've mixed with people from all walks of life. And I was very adamant to let them know what was possible in life, what was possible that was tangible. See, sometimes we share with kids what's possible, but they can't feel it. It's far away. They don't know how they're going to get there. And it doesn't mean a child that doesn't have help won't get there, because obviously my journey is God will open doors. But as a young parent, you need to develop a relationship with your child individually. And as that relationship deepens, you will know exactly what assistance to give them. But I must say, children, if you are listening, work with your parents. We live in a day and age where kids will be told at school to disrespect their parents. Society will be told the same. And there's all this, what about the kids? What about the kids? So very much, parents can be very much led into living life through the spoken words of a child. So there's this big essence of trying to turn things upside down. So be respectful to your parents. Your parents have given their lives and getting sacrifice for you to have what you desire, to put food on the table, no matter how big or small they've given you. It's a sacrifice. So I think for children today, it's teaching them that in a world that teaches them instant gratification. It's a very big job for parents. I've heard a lot, I've heard children go to schools and say, my MacBook's been confiscated, a mobile's been confiscated. I'm like, huh? Children have entitlement to these things, so there's a lot on the back of children. And when you're going through school, parents have to battle with so much. So always make sure that you're not the smartest person in your network. Surround yourself with people that know things that you don't know, so you can grow and you can call upon them when that you need that support. And more importantly, when you're connecting up with people, sometimes we go to people for what we can get. Be pure, genuine, and give. Give from a place of love. Give from a place of never expecting anything else in return. And I think that will transform the dynamics of how you live your life. I think that gratitude and giving, it's a secret that I think most of us sometimes don't understand the sacredness of what that is. Be pure of heart. Don't have bad intentions. Don't try to use people. Be pure of heart. That's one thing I can ask from you.
Wow, 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 wow. I'm writing all these little bits. I know I'll be listening to this again and again and again and again, and particularly for my viewers, because I tell you, Sabrina, I can never ever get enough of this. I've written a few nuggets here in there. First of all, it's a family. It's always important to have that support system. Yes. Whether it's for a mom, a dad, children, you cannot do it alone. And I love this because, especially the African way, a child is owned by everybody. You know, I remember growing up back in Kenya. I could never, if I saw people that I do not know the age of my mom, I could, if I was misbehaving, I would just stand still like a police person and sometimes even start apologizing, thinking they've known it. I would never, ever in the wildest dreams do anything because there's an adult looking. Today, you go on the buses, goodness me, what do you hear?
That's what's missing. You see, oh gosh, Councillor, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I have to say this. There's far too much emphasis about what the young people are doing wrong. The young people in the streets, you know, we've got to bloodshed. Enough's enough. Too many, one mother having to bury a child is too much. Culturally, as Africans, we know that burying a child is the worst thing ever. So at the end of the day, when we're seeing this, realize it's a symptom of a deeper root cause. What's happened? Exactly what you're talking about. I remember that. When you see elders, you be respectful, polite, offer a seat. That's not visible all the time. And when I see young people do it, like I'm in awe. I'm like, oh my God, that's so amazing. I'm trying to think of a way how I can bless them because it's gone. But I think it started to go the minute the community started basically lost hope in our young people. They felt that the young people were to blame for what we were actually to blame for. Because at the end of the day, parents are as strong as their support system. So what happened to support in the parents? So then we can produce children that feel supported and needed by their community.
But you know what? These days, I'm sorry, Sabrina, I really concur with you, and I know that's my view too, that a parent is the strongest support system. But, you know, things have changed so much that, and I'm saying this even from a teacher's perspective, sometimes you're scared of talking to the children, even when you see them doing wrong. I've seen that even in the park, and I'm thinking, what will happen after this? You know, the kids.
But what you're saying is right, Councillor. You see, we're scared of them because they've grown without us. It needs to start when they're young. You see, you have a young man that doesn't know who he is. He's erupting. And then now you're asking him, are you okay? How would you feel as a teenager to be asked how you're okay at 19, but no one cared to help when they was 1, 2, 5, 10. Think of my journey going through with undiagnosed disabilities and no one cared to help then. So what we're dealing with is very scary, but this is where the elders, the men in the village need to start working on families. It all starts at home. We work on our family. We go to our community. You know, I know that your husband's a bishop. You're doing your work, what you can do. But I totally resonate that as a teacher, it's scary. But at that time, it's not too late that they don't need help. It's different help they need. We need to start small. Look at our neighbors. If we be honest with ourselves, where we live right now, do you talk to your neighbors? Do you interact? That's where the change needs to happen. In life, there's 3 things that I always emphasize. We need to go inwards and heal ourselves. Our family need to heal, and then that will pour out into the community. We can't go outward before we go inwards. We just need to be honest with ourselves.
Wow, wow, wow. Do you know, I'm just looking at the whole perspective and I'm thinking, yeah, we need to challenge ourselves. Each one of us have a part to play in this. Before we point fingers, what have I done? I, myself, as Elizabeth, have I played my part before I start talking of failures of other children and all this? You know, that community spirits need to be brought back, and it has to start with me. there's so much that I could be doing, even without these parents knowing. The other bit you said is our children need role models. Are they there today? Do we have enough role models in every sector? Schools, some of us, and have no apologies to make, some just go there to teach and,
Absolutely.
just say this is the curriculum I've been given, period. So I don't care whether they answer this. I don't care as long as I cover what I've been. Whereas at my time, I know as a teacher, we used to be like social workers, we used to be parents, we used to be teachers. And I still do feel the same, that go beyond the call of duty.
Yes.
Be that parent. And those are the kind of teachers we had growing up. A teacher who would know, a teacher who would want to know a bit more about what's the problem, why, so early intervention is very, very important. Look at your case now. If this early intervention had been there, they wouldn't have diagnosed your dyslexia problem at university. So we really need each one of us. Oh my God, it's a real challenge you are giving us tonight. And then the other thing you said about our parents are strong, have written bad behavior in our children could be a cry for help. We should not look at children and just talk of the bad behavior. That could be a cry for help. When you see a child and you are thinking, oh my God, this child, their parents are pastors in a certain church, their parents are teachers, their parents are nurses, their parents are whatever they are. And then you start thinking that child, that behavior could be a cry for help. Could be that child is trying to portray. That's the only way to relay the message that I'm struggling, I need this. And so they end up, and I've seen that in schools. Do you know, through this, I ended up being a foster carer. Because I could share with so many children and they'll come to me. I know it became, so I was the person nominated such that if children had issues to discuss, problems from all levels, they would be sent to me. I became like the mother, the social worker in the whole school. And they would contact me. And then through that, I found out, so we always bring so and so because maybe they didn't even have breakfast. Their mom and dad have broken up, blah, 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 all the things. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to open my home. And ever since, I've been a foster carer for 15 years. Not because I want money, because it's really challenging. It's really challenging. It's one of the most challenging, but it's so fulfilling when you see. I mean, like today, my family talks of a certain boy because of confidentiality. I won't say the real name. We talk of this boy X who came here. He'd gone to 8 different homes and nobody cared. He came to my home and we opened the doors for him. That boy at 18 did not want to leave my house. He really cried tears. We used to go holiday with him, same age with my son. We used to do things together. He called me mom. And up to today, everybody talks about that boy. That boy had been caught with knives, had been caught doing all sorts of drugs and all that. By the time that boy left my house, he was playing drums in our church. He was going, scouts with my son, doing, I'm trying to say that bad behavior. And then he owned up to us. Their mom had died, their dad remarried, they did not get that support, the teachers in school could not understand him, they only, so, and I've also fostered so many others after that. So that could be a cry for, come on, I need help. I love this. I love the sharing that, what you've said, and then that gratitude and giving with a pure heart.
Yes.
With a pure heart. You're not giving just because you want people to see you. No. And that, I believe that also is that believing, that aspect of being either a Christian or a believer, whoever you are, definitely we all believe in a being somewhere. It's very, very paramount. It is in life. My dear, I know you have a brief message for moms too. Yeah. It's International Women's, in Baki and Dagenham, the whole month, we are celebrating women empowerment.
Yeah, oh, that's so special.
I've got so many mothers here. I've got Sherry here, is tuned. I've got so many. And even those who will listen to you, what will you tell your mother of 5 beautiful, wonderful, and viewers, please? I'm hosting these kids maybe in bunches of 2s. I'm going to start with the first, and I'm already booking him. Tell him I'm booking him.
Beautiful.
So, what's your message to parents, and particularly moms? I know you're talking to both because you've got both husband and wife, but for you now, I'd like to talk to, as particularly as we celebrate this special month for mothers and women soon coming to Mother's Day. What is your message in upbringing our children, upholding into family beliefs and husbands, and anything that you feel is important to tell women this morning?
I think one of the things that definitely come to mind in talking to mums, take a deep breath. And
I did.
I really want you to take a deep breath. I want you to realize that you are enough. I think sometimes there's so much pressure for you as a mother. You're tired, but you still have to keep going. When you want to sit down, you have to stand up. When you're scared, you still have to present yourself. And I think what I really want to say to you as a mom is that your imperfection is perfection. You see, sometimes you've put so much pressure on yourself for what you need to do, or time's running out, or what you have to do for the kids. But actually, it's in your pushing that you slow yourself down. So I really want you to realize that when you are fully supported, then what needs to come through the kids will come through you. And this was hard for me as a mum. I'm just going to keep it real. They say, look after yourself, but no one else is there. Or if your husband's there and he's working, there are some phenomenal dads in the world. I just want to add that. But as a mother, you are connected to that child. They may have cut the physical umbilical cord, but the spiritual one is still intact. So the more you quiet your soul, the easier it is for you to hear. The more you make peace with all the noise that's inside, all of the guilt of going off to work, starting the career, wanting to be at home with the kids. If you just take a deep breath and slow down, you'll be able to see a lot deeper than what presents. And I think as mothers, we have to go back to the intuitive side of us. You see, women are supernatural. We're not natural. We have been entrusted to carry life into this world. We are what can be deemed the aquapath. From the water, we bring forth a baby. So anything that's given to a woman is multiplied in every capacity. And I learned that from the late Dr. Miles Monroe. Lachey, when she was about 12 or 11, just before he passed away, she had the honor of speaking on the same stage of him. And when I spoke to him, that man changed my life. Because it's not more what we need to do. The world will always tell you, as a woman, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, it's not you that has to change. The world needs to change to accommodate you. You see, as women, we are enough. What we really need, we need to have the beautiful and gentle, loving support of the safe space to be supported by our masculine energy, that being the husband, the composite. We just need to know that if the whole world falls apart, you're going to hold that space for us. But as a woman, she will go under, over, or around. And I'm speaking to you mothers, we'll do anything it takes for our family and for our husband. So I think for you women, please learn to ask more. Don't top up everyone else's cup, top up yours. When everyone's having a meal, don't just let everyone eat from your plate, you eat too. And when you govern that safe energy that you rejoice, you're actually helping your family move forward. Because you are the carrier of the entire family. Nourish yourself, nurture yourself, time out if you can. Because I know the reality for some mums, they have never had a time to just say, hold the baby, I just need to nap. And it's time for you to call in your soul tribe, your village. Us as village need to support you. That's really my message, is how can you reinsert yourself back into your life? Because you're already doing everything for everyone. You want to be the good daughter, the good wife, the mother, the brilliant person in your career, in your studies. Enough's enough. All of that will just get you to burnout, okay? Just take your time, slowly but surely. Your true wealth is your health. And when that's taken care of, God will bring in the blessings.
Wow. You just take me back to my late mom's time when you said, don't let everybody feed from your plate. Because I remember growing up in a family of 7, and I was right in the middle. The food, she'd share everything, and she would never start with herself. Make sure including if there were guests. Sometimes she'd go back to the kitchen and she hasn't thought about herself. So women, don't let everybody feed on your plate, forgetting about yourself. take yourself. You're also equally important. Fearfully and wonderfully made by God. Yes. And women, speak out, ask for help. Ask for help. And I love that bit of, even when you are breastfeeding, when you have a young kid, don't be scared of telling somebody to hold the baby for you so that you can have a nap. You know, we always scared of asking. And we've got those masculine help, whether from brothers, sisters, brothers, uncles, husbands, they are there for us. But sometimes we want to do everything. That's me. We want to do everything. We don't ask for help. So you've given me that challenge, and you know what? I'll take it on. We could go on, and I know we're coming back with the authors. Oh my God, I can't wait to have them. Now, what's your parting shot? These people are waiting, and I know. Oh, Sabrina, my viewers of Beacon of Hope, tonight we've had this, and I've never had a program where I just sit and listen. Most times I'm like interjecting and asking questions, but this time I just felt she is talking to my life. She is talking about me. She is talking to me. And that is why most times I don't write things. You are talking to me. And I really want to thank God for your life. So what is your parting shot as we end? Can't have enough of you.
Oh, I've actually got a message that I feel compelled to share. It's
Go ahead.
Anyone that has an email from me, there's a message at the end of my email. So sometimes in life, like we feel alone. We're never really alone.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of disconnect going on in the world, right? It's real. It is real. And some people are really, really alone at this moment. There's so many people around, but they're really alone because no one's really connecting. So the message I've got in here, it says, we are all connected. When would now be a good idea to trust your highest thoughts, your clearest words, and your grandest feelings? Your highest thought is always the thought which makes you feel good. Your clearest words are the words which contain truth and honesty. And your grandest feeling is love. And at the end of the day, we all know that God is love. And that's really my departing message, because I think when we feel that we're all disconnected and we're not connected, we act as we are right now. But when we understand that I am you and you and me, and that we have more in common than not in common, and that I can take responsibility for how I impact your life, in the hope that you choose to take the same responsibility when you're connecting with me. We can go out into the world and pay it forward without expecting anything in return. And if I take care of your back and you take care of someone else's back, it can go around the world as a circle motion, and me knowing that someone's looking after me behind. Pray for people that you don't know. Speak blessings as they walk past you in the street. If we start operating as we are all connected, just imagine how quickly we will get back to how it was in the beginning. And we can start living connected in the way that our ancestors intended, because each and every one of us is an answer to our ancestors' prayers. So would it not be a good idea right now to start birthing the character that would be in honor of what our forefathers and our foremothers had to go through, and live their legacy? People had to lose their lives in order for us to have what we have now, the freedom, the flexibility, the ownership. And as a family, start creating legacy together. You see, when you all interconnect as a family, something very magical happens. Start focusing on ownership. Start questioning, where's your generational wealth? Start thinking about, what is my life worth today? How can you create that for your children going forward? Put in place, I know it might sound a bit bizarre, but put in place things like life care, life insurance, because if the unforeseen happens, you know that your children are guaranteed to be taken care of. And we need to borrow from different cultures what works there and share with them what works in our culture. And I think if we start learning to take care of ourselves as we are all connected, no child has to grow up feeling alone. I was a product of just living in a house with me and my mum. I pay homage to my mum because she dealt with a lot, but she was really alone. She had desires that were unlived, tears that were uncried. And I know that right now there are parents feeling the same. It shouldn't be like that. But as the Bible says, knock and the door shall be opened. Ask and it shall be answered. So we just need to kind of listen here in the community and start acting as if, please.
Wow, wow, wow. Guys, I told you, and I'm glad that this is exactly what I expected. And I know there would have been much, much more. But you know what, guys? Connect with Sabrina Benz. It's a big family, and they live like they're all gelled together. I love the way she works with her kids. But tonight I did. That was my special request. I wanted her to come here because we are celebrating this month as women and mothers. And I wanted her to come and talk to mothers. And then I'm going to bring these kids because they're my darlings. I love them.
I can't wait for you to meet them. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Listen, Sabrina, my regards to mommy. You know, she's my friend too. My regards to your wonderful children, your husband, and and I'm sure this is not the end of it. We want to continue encouraging more people. And I love that gift that you have because you want to share. You don't want to keep it to yourself. There are so many people who've got gifts, even more than what you have. But do they give it back? No, they keep it to themselves. We are told in their graves, if you look at the tombstone, there's so much that has gone to the grave. No one has benefited. I believe you, as even being an international speaker, going around with your children, writing this in the books, that shows how caring you are because you want others to learn. And we'll be sharing the titles so that people can read the books on Amazon and all the other places. And I want to thank God for your life. Regards from my darling Bishop. He's been here listening. He's really inspired.
Oh, beautiful.
And all the family here. We had so many of them listening. And you know what? May the Lord bless you, darling. May the Lord continue opening more doors for you, simply because you decided you want to share what the little that God has given you. Once you empty, He's going to fill those empty voids. It's not going to be void at all. The Lord will fill you. So once again, thank you. We'll be in touch, and then we plan, because I want to host them. I can't wait. I mean, every time we think about them, I know you know why we couldn't do
they
that.
They are God's grace in action. I definitely know that. They say number 5 is in the Bible. They said it means grace, so it's quite interesting. We learned a lot. We learned a lot about what God's doing. So God is really talking through them. So we'll see what goes on.
I'm sure my daughter Dama Ben, who's also featured here, who's got a special needs child, and she's doing a program. I'm sure she would love to connect with you. She's doing a very, very special program in Kenya, which is called Diaper for a Smile. With a special needs child, she found out so many mothers who could not take their children to therapy because they don't have diapers. She has started on her own, and as a family, we are supporting her. I'm sure that's another connection that I would like you to hear and see what we can do together, because it's growing bigger by the day. She was featured last week by UCB, the Christian channel, because she's been doing this on her own. She's registered now, and we are trying to work together. And just the love of giving. She calls it bringing up a special needs child with a smile. And then the program, the giving back, is Diaper for a Smile. She started with her husband. She started with her husband just giving 1 or 2 diapers from her pack so that these special needs children can go for therapy. Now, we've started giving also as family. And now this is growing because some communities are coming in, but we want this to grow into a bigger program in the legacy of her son, who is also growing.
See if you can set up some sort of Zoom call. Let's have a meeting. Let's see what we can discuss and see what we can take from there, okay?
Dama Ben. She's there. So I would love to connect. She is beautiful and featured here. And because I'm going to give you the contact so that we can have a Zoom and then see what we can do. I believe together we are strong. And because she's giving back. She's still in Kenya, but with the little that she has, she still gives back. So I can talk more and more and more because, me and you and I last time we could not part, but may the Lord do you good. Have a brilliant weekend. You get in touch.
Bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care, darling. Take care. Guys, that has been beautiful, isn't it? Really beautiful. I love this woman. She's doing so much. and a mother of 5, and all of them authors. I can't wait to bring these authors in the program, and they're coming. Yes, they are coming. Dama Ben, great conversation. James, that was James Kariuki Daktari. That was awesome interview and inspiring. Daniel Keminda, I can see you, Kemidia. I can see you on the way, US. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for following Beacon of Hope. Thank you. And as usual, every time we come here, we always have something new. We always learn something new. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being our chief supporters. We love you. We love you. Just a quick reminder that we still talk about other gardens. You know, these people, the Almond Estate Company Limited, they are selling plots. They are selling land in Kisirian. Very nice plots. I'm a beneficiary of this. Please get in touch with Almond Estate Company Limited. Phase 1 is gone. Eder Gardens Phase 1 is gone. Now we're on Phase 2. Get in touch with Almond Estate Company Limited on +254 733 874080 +254 733 874080. That is Almond Estate Company Limited. I'm also it's Easter time. I know so many people who have already booked their holidays with, there we go, Django Dwellers. Django Dwellers. Plan your holiday. They'll do everything for you. You don't even have to struggle. No. The next thing, are you sending money home? Tap Tap. We still continue talking about Tap Tap, that they're there for us. They'll support us. They'll do everything for
Niajiwase. Tap Tap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hustle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. Too mucky too.
Once again, guys, that's the end of our program, Beacon of Hope program, which is on a Friday. This is your host, Councillor Elizabeth Kangede, Mrs. Bishop BK. I really want to appreciate you, and I really loved the way our guest tonight, Sabrina Ben Salmi, and they call themselves the 5 Ben Salmis. I love the way they've done their bit today. Watch this space as I host these authors. God bless you. Tomorrow, we host Beacon of Hope Family Program with Bishop BK, the Archbishop, and then on Sunday, Powerhouse Church. May the Lord bless you, do you good. I love you. I know you can't have enough of this, but you have to come to the end tonight. God bless you. Continue praying for Ukraine. Continue doing what you can. You know, that is what we've been called to do. Nawapenda. God bless you. Thank you. Blessed weekend. Signing off from the London Borough of Buckingham Dagenham. This is your host, Councillor Elizabeth Kangede, Mrs.